go by the order, so Luca, you're going to be the first one, with each one of the guests here, of the panel members, presenting the role, responsibility, and what the company is doing. Maybe 3-4 minutes, something like that. Take your time, or you don't need to use all the 3 minutes. We have ample of discussion points to talk later, so that the audience has some background about how you come, what angle do you come into this discussion.
Okay. So, hello to everybody. My name is Luca Pranzati. I am the Chief Business Innovation Officer at MSC Cruises. MSC Cruises is the 4th largest cruise operator in the world. It's the only one privately owned. We belong to a family. We are a family business. And we are part of a group, actually. So basically, we are the 2nd largest container operator in the world. We do have ferries, we do have logistics, and much more. What we do at innovation within the cruise industry, well, basically, a cruise ship is like, I like to say, is like a smart city, a city sailing on the ocean. The latest cruise ship we have launched into the market are counting around 6,000 passengers plus 1,500 crew members. So we do offer any kind of services on our ship, ranging from hospitality to food and beverage, entertainment, casinos, power being, retail, and so on. So for us, innovation and technology is a way of leveraging on them to elevating the customer experience, as well as, from another perspective, to improve the operation on the ship. So we are here today in Israel to get in touch with this very unique innovation ecosystem and try to establish very good connection with companies that could provide us now and in the future with the relevant insights and value proposition for our future ships. Thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you for inviting me. Ron McCasley, VP of Product and Service Innovation with Lloyd's Register. For those of you, probably most of you never heard the brand. It's not Lloyd's Insurance, by the way. Lloyd's Register is just as old as a company. It's a 258-year-old company. We have 200 offices in 78 countries. We provide business assurance services for the maritime, offshore, energy and manufacturing markets. We usually give services that deal with large, dangerous, expensive assets and the assured use of those assets through our services. So that's what we do. Within innovation, we look at growth initiatives. And to make it really, really simple, one is focusing on enhanced performance of those assets, because through the knowledge that we have within the business, which is quite extensive, we can really understand the type of operation that the asset needs to go through and really help you do that. And to complement that, on the other side, our focus is on risk and always has been. So weaving risk into performance is our focus currently, really understanding how risk turns from a snapshot-based activity and a tacit knowledge-based activity into a real-time or near real-time based activity and big data analytics insight giver. So that's the focus at the moment.
Hello, I'm Johanna Fraki. Thanks for inviting me to this sunny, warm Israel. I left Sunday evening from a very dark and
If I may, Johanna told me when she left Helsinki, it was -4 degrees yesterday, so just appreciate the sunny comment.
-4. Despite the kind of difference in climate, there's something very common with Israel and Finland. Both countries are among the top 4 most innovative countries in the world, according to the World Economic Index. As to celebrate that, last night, both an Israeli and Finnish scientist was awarded by this Eric and Sheila Samson Innovation Prize. Congratulations again, Professor Albuch and Dr. Lars Petter developed a groundbreaking alternative fuel, biofuel, with his team in Neste. I'm coming from another big Finnish company, Wärtsilä. which has for 184 years been a front runner in engineering innovation, starting all the way from sawmills, iron mills, steel mills, machine construction, shipbuilding, ceramics, glass, to diesel engines. Today, we are enabling sustainable societies with smart technologies and focusing those technologies currently around energy production and marine solutions. In the energy field, we're targeting 100% renewable energy production, and in marine, smart vessels connected to smart ports. I'm heading the ecosystem innovation team in Wärtsilä Marine Solutions, and I'm here because I believe we can learn a lot from automotive industry innovations. I'll give you a couple of examples. In 2006, BMW introduced for the first time real-time data in car navigation. We did that in Wärtsilä, first in the maritime industry, in route performance optimization and monitoring this year. Another example, in 2003, Toyota introduced an intelligent parking systems system. Yet again, Wärtsilä was a pioneer in this area in the maritime industry. And this year, April, we tested auto-docking system in Norway with Fogelfond, an 84-meter ferry. Third example, in 1997, Toyota launched the world's first full hybrid electric car, Prius. Wärtsilä was again pioneered in 2011 with fuel cells and then batteries installation in offshore vessel Viking Lady. So, from these three examples, we can see that maritime industry is at least 10 years behind innovations in the automotive industry. And it's that automotive technology is so strong here in Israel. I'm really looking forward to collaborate with this vibrant ecosystem, and especially focusing efforts on collision avoidance, cybersecurity, and port-to-vessel communication. Thanks.
Hi, Elton Fong, and I'm from PSA International Private Limited. So, given that this is an event on mobility, I wish to say that we are different from PSA Peugeot. We used to be known as a Port of Singapore Authority. PSA International today is not part of the government. We are now a global container terminal operator, operating in over 40 terminals around the world. So to give you something about a sense of the size of our business around the world, something like 1/10 of all containers that are handled in ports around the world, they are handled in the terminals that we operate. So I come from PSA Unbox. I run that, and PSA Unbox is PSA International's external innovation and corporate venture capital arm. And in terms of the technology that PSA is interested in, they are pretty varied, but in the context of this event, in terms of port innovation, we are very much interested in solutions that help us automate our business, our operations, all right? And especially in terms of autonomous vehicles, the deployment of such vehicles, the solutions that help us manage that, the energy systems that help run those systems, and the energy management systems that help us run not just autonomous vehicles within our terminals, but all the other electrical systems also. So that's one area within the port. We are also interested in technology and innovation that relates to the port, especially in terms of how the port relates to the other stakeholders around it. So on the seaside, maritime-related innovation, especially innovation that has more of a ship-to-shore type application. And on the land side, anything that relates to cargo flow, especially for cargo that at some point in time has moved through containers. So if you've got anything that are in all this space, we are very, very glad to be able to work with you on that. Thanks.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Costantino Baldissara. I'm the Commercial Logistics and Operations Director of Grimaldi Group. I'm also president or CEO of several Grimaldi companies operating in the field of the port terminals or inland terminals and tracking, moving in particular new cars. Grimaldi is a family company owned by a family with a turnover of 3.3 billion euro. 3.3 billion dollars. We are a RRO operator. We are the largest RRO operator in the world. RRO means operating vessels that are moving cars or trucks, trailers, so whatever is going on a ship with the own wheels. We are linking in particular Israel since 51 years ago with several services and linking most of the destination around Europe, South America, North America. Innovation for us means not only technology or new technologies, but also changing continuously and trying to improve ourselves. In some cases, the innovation is also done by our service. Just to give you an example, 10 years ago there was no service, sea transportation service between Italy and Spain, for example, and now there is a link that we call the motorway of the sea. So it's an alternative transport service which is much better in terms of, let's say, environmental friendly, is much better, is much more environmental friendly, and also is cutting CO2, is giving a better life to the drivers. So in some cases the services are innovative. Then we are also working a lot and never enough to make more competitive our service. So our main focus today is how to reduce the bunker consumption, so the let's say oil consumption to run the ships, but also to connect ourselves in a better way with our clients. Most of them are the largest car makers in the world, like FCA, Ford, General Motors, Toyota, Honda, and the others. So there are several fields where we are working. I have to say it's never enough, also because technology is changing every day our life. And perhaps in this moment is the best moment, also because whilst in the past whoever was working more in the technology was a competitive advantage, and no one was sharing to the others what was discovered by themselves. Today, it's in a different world. More we share information, better is for everybody. More we use a common, let's say, new technology, better service we are offering to our clients, and more competitive is our service. So this is, I think, the main target of this industry, where Hannan said correctly, is, and also the colleague from Varsila, with whom we are working a lot to make more efficient our fleet. We are a little bit behind in our industry for several reasons.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. And I'd like to pose the first question and give you a few seconds to think about it. And the first question, I want to bring it down to practical grounds. And this is, give us a few examples of how in your organizations you actually scout for new ideas, for new technologies, for new innovation. And while you are thinking about that, and we'll see who wants to jump first, I'd like to approach the audience and say the following. Throughout the discussion here, we'll try to convince you that what we are looking here in terms of the opportunity in ports, maritime, and logistics is what we call sometimes half smiling, a blue ocean of opportunities, because it has more than one meaning, as opposed to the red ocean of opportunities that many of you, whether investors or entrepreneurs, experience in the automotive market. There is literally a blue ocean of opportunities. We believe that it is opening up, ready for disruption, revolution, digital oriented, and that spirit is actually reflected here on the stage. So back to the question. I'm looking for some concrete examples as to how your organizations, being, sometimes with long heritage, tens, hundreds years back, how are you actually looking for innovation? What practical means do you have or do you exercise for that purpose? Who would like to go first? Please, Luca.
So in our case, so basically, as I said, we have 11 ships under construction for the next 10 years to come, plus we are currently entering the luxury segment. What we do is I have a team of people divided into location, and how we scout innovation. We have built quite a consistent tech partners community with big giants like Samsung, Harman, HP, Aruba, and then we have the consulting companies. We do have accelerator. We do visit as well as places like Silicon Valley, like we are doing here today in Israel, to start establishing long-lasting connection. We do have a collaboration with the university, with other kind of communities, like we are based in Switzerland, we are in Digital Switzerland as a way of having access to digital. So there are a variety of different ways you can establish, you can go out and scout for technologies. The most important things I would say, we make people aware that we are looking for technologies. We do make our requirements clear and our use case almost clear, so that people, companies that are approaching us, they have a clear in mind what we are looking for, they can help us. Obviously, it's a two-way collaboration. So we set clearly our needs, our requirements, but from the other note, we are also pretty much curious on companies and people which may have interesting ideas for us. Now we can rely on technology as a way of elevating the customer experience in the future, changing the experience on the ship, attracting new segments, as well as on another note, being more efficient. Okay, so for us, technology is, we like to say, is technology at the service of hospitality. Technology per se doesn't matter at all, it's just a question of money you put on the plate. If you come to us with very interesting ideas on how we can invest on your technologies as a way for us to get business value out of it, you will always find our door open.
Thank you. Please, Ron, would you like to comment on that? Okay, anybody else that wants to? Elton, please.
Yes. I guess for corporates that are very focused in certain very niche industries, and if their technology needs are rather niche, it's rather hard to find a lot of technology and startups at any one go. All right, so I guess that is somewhat reflective of the situation that PSA has. Right. On one hand, we have a lot of needs in terms of enterprise technology. We can find that anywhere. But in terms of technology that's perhaps more focused within the domain of ports, maritime, and even logistics and supply chain, still rather niche. And some of the success we have found is really working with startup ecosystem players that are perhaps more attuned to these segments. All right. So let's say startup accelerators that have perhaps a more maritime, port, or supply chain logistics focus. These are normally good places for us to work with and to collaborate with the startups that they are able to find and nurture. Just wanted to add that.
Please, Hannan.
Yes, I do. Second, the view that it's a bit niche market, so it's not that evident to find the right startups. And we have been quite active, for example, in this big startup event in Finland, Slush, which is a huge event, and a lot of especially ICT startups, but not so many working on the maritime sector. we have a couple of times there a challenge. Like last year we had on the Smart Marine ecosystem, and currently we have a challenge out on the Power to X energy production. I think those challenges are quite a nice way to scout new ideas and new technologies. Last time we had 150 submissions and selected 2 winners, one in communications, vessel communication, and the other one in core. So that's a quite nice way to do that. But very much seconding that this approach of accelerator is a focused and efficient one. What we do also is hackathons. More and more. A couple of weeks ago I conducted one in Hamburg. It was quite interesting. We brought a lot of vessel data there from 5 different vessels, 8 engines, 2 years of running operations, asked young people there what's causing in these dual fuel engines the switching between LNG and heavy fuel. And after some 30 hours of hard work, they came with the answer and also an algorithm to predict that 100 minutes before the event. So I think going forward, that would be also a very interesting way to scout.
Okay, thank you. Please, Brian.
I'll second all the different strategies. I think that what works for us as well is being located where innovation happens. So being in Israel is great. So for the last year, after about 12 years abroad, I joined the ecosystem back again. We have an innovation hub in Singapore. We have an innovation hub in the UK. We have some great teams in the US, in Houston. Close to the centers where the clients are, we also try to stay close to where the ecosystem is for innovation. Another thing, I'm definitely second, we started up an accelerator that focuses on a use case in a way, our risk and safety tech accelerator. So it's not specific to sector, it's specific to use case. So that's something that we think is differentiated and is bringing out our submissions and great technology. Agility is really, really important. So making sure that every new partner is immediately brought in, tested quickly, validated with clients is the way to win for us. And that leads to partnership as a core value for us, because we are aware we're not going to do everything ourselves at all. So developing partnership capability is a key factor of what we do every day. So yeah.
Thank you, Ron. And Costantino, maybe a question for you. I know that Grimaldi Lines is a leader in the world in the RoRo business. For those that are less familiar, it's roll-on, roll-off business of cars, trucks, etc. But you are also serving at the head of ECG, right? You told me the Association of European Vehicle Logistics, which is looking at the whole intramodal logistic issue of how to transport cars, etc., and much more than that, logistics. Since the main focus of this summit here is automotive, then this is a nice, interesting angle of bringing together the shipping side with the automotive market. So what are the areas? First of all, can you share with us a bit about ECG and where do you see innovation happening in that overall sequence?
Thank you. Yes, ECG is the Finnish Vehicle Logistics Association. It's including 100 companies operating in 28 different countries, European one plus Russia and Turkey. This association is representing not only the trucking companies but also the railway companies such as DB Cargo, the German railway, the French railway, the Russian railway, and also the shipping line working in the automotive sector. We are working a lot in the innovation, in the digitalization. I have been president for 9 years, and now I'm the past president since 2 years. But ECG is working a lot on the digitalization. For example, last Thursday, we had a meeting with the main car makers. They were all there attending this industry meeting. It was during our annual conference, and we agreed together with the American Association AIG, which is including also the car makers representative and also inbound representative. We have agreed on some standards finally on the DI, sharing data between suppliers and car makers. We are working on operational standards, so to make to have minimum standards, for example, for the loading, unloading operation, lashing of the car, and so on. And now we have a new focus on new technology, so how to connect, for example, our terminals with the cars. Before, this was, as I said, a competitive advantage. Whenever there was a terminal that was able to find a car through a software. Tomorrow, if the operators will not be able to read the message coming from the car, we will not be able to work for a car maker. So it's changing a lot. So now we are working on the so-called connectivity. And that's where I had a lot of interest today, because I have seen a lot of startups working in automotive, and we are looking for some of them for serving the association and their members.
Great. So obviously you all have functional needs representing your experience and areas that you want to improve. But if we were to talk about what technologies here in Israel specifically you might be after, in other words, what I am asking you is translating the functional needs that you have for your business into whether it has to do with IoT, with big data, with deep learning, AR, VR, I'm throwing different acronyms, drones, what type of cyber, of course, what type of technologies are you interested in? Again, main purpose is to connect with the audience, because everybody here either invested or founded or is looking for ideas as to where to develop technologies which address those functional needs. So question is, can you help us and maybe speak to us, translate to us those functional needs into technologies that may be involved, which you're after? Please, Jan.
Perhaps worth repeating what I said a bit before, but from the automotive industry, I think there are a lot in this collision avoidance, which is related to the maritime industry. Cyber security in all forms is very important, and kind of from the fleet management, there's something that could be probably translated to vessel fleet management and port optimization as well.
Thank you. Anybody else that please add on?
Right. In the context of this event, we have a very strong interest in applying autonomous vehicles in an industrial use case. We do understand that there's a fair amount of development that's already taking place in the development of autonomous vehicles for normal users on the road. And we think that for it to be applied in an industrial use case is in some ways probably going to be similar, probably going to be largely similar, but at the same time simpler. And the reason why I say that is because, well, in an industrial use case, very likely we are working within a very predefined environment, lesser mapping issues, so on and so forth, and energy is always within a relatively, it's all relatively accessible, and we'd like to see that being applied in our industry very soon, and we would like to really implement autonomous vehicles running around our terminals.
Thank you, please.
I say this also on behalf of the European Automotive transport industry. What we are looking for is to improve, let's say, the exchange of responsibility among the several players working for the same supply chain. And how to, I have seen that there is one of, in the stand, there is one company showing their services, how to improve and reducing our cost and making also more efficient the handover of the goods, for example, the cars or the trailers or the Roro in general. This is one. Another one is how to standardize at the European level the tracking of the cars. Everybody has its own system, but is not connecting with the car makers and sometimes with other suppliers. So we would like to do a European tracking system, and as I said, a European standard audit system. Also regarding the KPI performances. So we would like to do, let's say, a standard in checking ourselves, checking the control of the check of the suppliers.
Understood. Thank you. A last short question, Luca, I'd like to ask you. And you raised your hand, but I'd like to ask you a question. Everybody here, is aspiring to a vacation on a love boat, a dream boat, an MSC cruise, in the business of doing that. When you're talking about elevating the customer experience, try to help us what it means, again, technology. When it gets to vacation, we'll all benefit the vacation, but what does it mean behind the scenes in terms of specific, maybe 2 or 3 technologies that will elevate customer experience?
Okay, so I'll give you a couple of examples of what we have already achieved, and I'll leave you the stage with a couple of challenges that anybody can come back to us. So the 2 examples is, we discussed already yesterday with another company, we had a meeting. We have launched for the first time ever on a cruise ship a dynamic wayfinding, which is a proprietary solution and is based on beacons. So people are now guided by means of an app to the different point of interest, find the cabin, find the restrooms, find the elevator in a dynamic way. It's not powered by GPS, it's not Google Maps, it's just our solution. Second one is we have designed wearables in order to give the possibility, again, in order to elevate the experience on the ship, to the parents, to track where the kids are while being on the ship, so that they can get relaxed, they can use their time during the vacation with a peace of mind. Fine. So this is something that we have achieved. Has been really challenging because you can imagine the ship is huge, it's very rich, it's very complicated, it's made of steels. We have been facing huge challenges on the fine-tuning of the system, but we have achieved. What we are looking next?
Luca, we need to finish. We are beyond the red sign.
Just very quickly. I leave 2 challenges. We are interested in batteries because we are green, but we want to become even more greener than today. And the second one, we are pretty much interested in face recognition, both for security purposes and for removing some other point of friction we do still have in our experience while, for example, boarding the ship. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Just a sentence to sum it all up. You have heard examples of the demand side. The demand for new technologies, for innovation does exist. The platforms are emerging around the world. theDOCK is one of those platforms. We are now looking for the supply. Supply is coming from this audience from Israel. So thank you very much. I'd like to thank you, the members of my panel, and have a good day.
Well, did you ever stop to think what cities would look like if no parking spaces were needed? Wow.